Any advice you have for anyone getting married?
Anything you would have done differently?
Just do what you want to do. Like Caroline said, like it's ultimately like your and your spouse's day. Not like, you know, you could drive yourself crazy trying to appease everyone and make everyone happy. And it's just
Not
no
possible.
one's going to notice or remember a lot of things that you're trying to like
Coordinate
and fit in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the
Just
do
do
what
what you
makes
want.
you happy. Yeah. If that means eloping, do that.
Yeah, no, honestly though.
Yeah.
You can please some of the people all of the time,
You can please all of the people some of the time.
but you can't please all of the people all of the time.
Welcome to the People Pleasers Podcast.
Hi, my friend.
Hello. I feel like we start every episode like,
So uncomfortable. Hello.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Grace. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm
I
great.
think we really do start every episode like that.
I know we're like,
Hi, how are ya?
How's it going? Good. You? Great.
I think one of these days we'll get it down.
I know.
Eventually.
How are you supposed to do this? How do people do these things? They're just like,
Dude, I
normally
don't
they
know.
say the same thing. I feel like a lot of podcasts
I
say the
know.
same thing and we don't. So that's why it's hard for us.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. We'll
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there once we figure out what our thing is.
Yeah, what
But
is
for
it?
now, it's just, hi, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
In different accents
And
and
faces.
different moods and different
It
faces.
depends on the day.
It does depend on the day.
Well, how was your weekend?
It was good. It's
Yeah?
kind of sad weekend.
I know, me too.
It was yeah. Oh, yeah. We both kind of had
We
some
had sad
tough weekends.
weekends.
Yeah.
I know.
Mm.
Tell us about it.
Well, my childhood dog, Brooklyn, we've had him for 18 years.
Also, just I know, I didn't know he was a boy.
I know. No one. See, the funny thing is about his name.
Yeah.
Abby and I, because we picked him out of the shelter. I volunteered at the animal shelter in 4th grade. And
In 4th grade.
in 4th and 5th grade, I
What a
volunteered at the animal shelter.
cutie.
And so my dad was like, we're not getting a dog because we already had 3. But my parents were divorced. So I was like, 2 houses.
I need
2
one.
times the dogs. I was like, Dad, you need a dog. I don't know what to tell you. And I had this sweet little Yorkshire Terrier that just followed me from room to room. And just something about him. I was like, you're so sweet and I love you. And so
I need you.
didn't take too much convincing. Dad said yes. But Abby and I could not decide on a name. Like we were fighting about names. And so that summer, my dad's brother and his family, they live in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh.
And so Dad was like, what about Brooklyn?
love
And that
it.
was kind of the one that we were like, okay, we can't argue that. Like, that's a good one.
Yeah.
They were just here. So we were like, yeah, Brooklyn's good. But no, everyone thinks it's a girl. It's a boy.
It's okay. We don't discriminate.
Brooklyn the boy.
Aww.
Yeah, but
so how old was he?
He was, so we think because when we got him, they said he was maybe already like a year to 2 years old. So he was almost 19.
Wow.
All of our dogs have lived long
Wow.
lives, but it was especially tough because obviously Gus was the toughest on me back in 2020. Bailey suddenly, we had to put her down the day after Christmas this year.
Right.
And
I was
then
gonna say, you just went through this.
I know. Well, and with Brooklyn too, like it gets to a point where like you never want to do it, but when they're old like that, it's like I can tell your
The quality of
your
life
quality
just
of life
isn't
is
there.
not what it maybe should be anymore, and that's where it's like you gotta say goodbye because I don't want you to be in pain. I want you to pass peacefully. So it is tough as it was. Obviously, it was kind of one of those things where I'm like, holy crap, dude, you've been here for 18 years. I've had so many good years with you, and it was fun to talk about like those big like prime years with like my sister and my dad of just the memories we've had with him, and he was just such a great pup. But the really cool and weird thing, so when we went into the room to basically say goodbye, so everything I know
The worst.
the worst. So everything happened and he was gone and we were getting ready to leave the room and he's just laying there on the table, no one else in the room but my dad and I. And above, and I noticed we've been in this room for 30 minutes. And I look up and above Brooklyn is a calendar. And it's one of those like 2 block numbers. So it's like a block and a block. It's a number, and then like a month block. It was December 7th, which is the day Gus died.
What?
So I looked up and I said, holy shit. And I was like, that calendar still says December 7th. Like, how specific can you be? It's not like a month
Wow.
calendar. Like, it
Right.
is 2 numbers and a month.
And it's literally March.
And and it said December 7th. And so
he said, I'm here.
We're
together.
All of my childhood dogs now are together. And I think not being able to be there for Gus at that place we went is where my dad had to take him alone.
Yeah.
And so not getting to be there for that one, which has always really stuck with me and was the hardest one, but seeing that at the same time of seeing Brooklyn was kind of like, all right, they're together. Yeah. Yeah. So that was the weirdest thing, but
it's not weird.
It's not. It was a very special thing that I think it gave me in that moment more peace than it did sadness of like, all right, they're together.
They're okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But how wild that is.
I love that though.
Yeah. So
I love when things like that happen. So it's just like, okay, this is a sign.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this sign.
Yeah.
That was placed directly in front of my face.
Literally.
I couldn't miss it.
I know. I could not believe, like I'd been looking at him the whole room this entire time and I didn't notice it until we left. So yeah,
Grace.
It was really sweet.
Well, I'm sorry that you had to go through that.
It's okay.
It sucks.
It's never easy.
Yeah.
But he lived such a long, good life. I had him for 18 of my 27 years. Like, that's crazy.
That is, honestly.
That's awesome.
What a blessing.
Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of the focus of our weekend. Watched some golf and just laid low before my first weekend of wedding. So it was my last one without.
I know you've got one this Saturday.
I do. Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly,
I'm ready for it. I think I know I'm ready. And I get more confident as the years go on. But I think mentally I'm just like, like we talked about last week, like, here we go. It's starting. Like it's going to be July before we know it. Yeah. So I am ready and I'm so excited. And I'm excited to see friends again, working with vendors. So it's going to be good.
Just getting back into that routine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. But how was your weekend?
Similar to yours in a way.
Yeah.
One of my best friend's dads passed away. Yeah. So we had the visitation on Friday and then we had the service on Saturday. Yeah. So that was really, really sad, hard. Her mom passed away from early Alzheimer's in I'm going to get this wrong. I want to say 2020.
All of those years bleed together. Yeah.
It was 2021. I remember because I looked. And so, but just to talk about them a little bit, in honor of their relationship, he was Jody's like main caregiver while she was battling Alzheimer's and all of that. And then, I don't know, they just had a really beautiful relationship. And then obviously she passed away. And then he was diagnosed with leukemia last year. And it just progressed to acute myeloid leukemia, which is pretty rare. Yeah. Just was there for Michaela and Mackenzie and their brother, Zach. We ended up going over to her aunt and uncle's house after, and it was honestly a lot of fun, just like being together. There was a lot of like tears shed too.
It's the bittersweet of all of that. Yeah,
exactly. Just a really emotional weekend in general. One of my best friends, Tyler, who lives in Oregon, came into town, so she was able to be there. So
that's nice.
We were all able to be together. Our little like group of 4 of us. So we all got to be together, which was really good. We got a lot of quality time together, which we haven't had in a while. So good. There was a lot of beauty within the weekend, but it was definitely hard.
Right.
And my heart just goes out to Michaela. Like, I can't imagine losing both of my parents in the ways that she's lost both of them.
Right.
And she just has two little ones of her own. And it just sucks. He just retired and he was ready to just be, they call him Chachi instead of Grandpa. He was ready to be Chachi. So it's just a lot of,
so tough.
It's a hard pill to swallow. A lot of, he was healthy. Like why? A lot of questions.
Yeah.
But
well, I'm glad you guys have such a great friend group and friendship to support her and be there for each other. And I can't imagine going through that with your people. And I'm sure that was, like you said, it makes you think. And then it scares you and it sends you into all the anxiety spirals. But it's a tough.
And more so just like we all loved him. Like we loved Charlie. Like he was the best. So it was just sad to know that you're never going to see him on this earth again. So yeah. We're both very somber.
I know. But that's weekends, but
that's life.
That's life. It is life. We did on kind of similar. It made me think of it. We did have the His Helping Hands benefit last week that we both went to.
Yeah. So that was kind of crazy timing of that too. I got a little emotional when he was talking because I was like, oh my god, this is hitting too close to home right now.
Yeah, that was your first
really
benefit.
Well. It was. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. So I didn't have anything to compare it to, but I enjoyed it.
It was awesome. I mean, being on the board last year, being on the board this year, we had a whole year to plan this year. The year prior, we had like 3 months. So it was still great. Yeah. And it was awesome. And everything that was pulled together in that time is incredible. But then this month, or this year especially, having a full year. Yeah, it was cool to kind of see like, okay, what we learned, what we could improve on, what we did better. And
I loved it. I thought it was great.
It was awesome.
I thought there was plenty of like interactive moments that were all great. You could tell there was a lot of thought and time that was put into it, and all the vendors that donated their services, their time. It's just so great to see the community come together for such a good cause.
I know. I think Bree emailed us and said, she emailed the board and said $55,000 were raised, which is 19 wishes.
Aww.
That's crazy.
That's amazing.
I know. It's awesome. So that was cool to hear. So yeah.
Well, good. I was glad I got to be a part of that.
I know. I'm glad you were there too.
You know,
it was cool to have you there.
You know, I'm sad that we didn't make it to the, I didn't get a photo in the end, or what was it called?
Didn't get a what?
A photo.
A photo?
Yeah, the photo station upstairs.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sad. I got distracted talking.
I know, because we were going there, and then Holt and I were like, should we just go?
No, I'm literally so sad, but
it was beautiful, but it's okay.
Yeah,
next time.
We got our little photo
I'm sure
booth
next
photo,
year there will
so.
be a great install.
Yeah,
Don't
that's
worry.
Totally fine. I'll be there.
You'll be there.
And I will be sure to make it
That's
to
the first thing
photo
you're
op
doing.
this
Yes,
time.
yes. Well, this week.
Yeah. Very exciting. I say this every time. Very exciting guest.
But it's true because we have 2 guests this time.
We have double the double the fun.
Yes.
We have Haley and Caroline, who are 2 previous brides of ours.
Friends themselves.
Which is
really cool. Yeah.
So it was fun to get both of them in and relive moments from their wedding day, things that that maybe didn't go perfectly, things that they remember. What am I trying to say? They look back on and
just reliving
reflect
all of it
on the day.
Yes. We
as a
talked
whole.
through some things in the process that stressed them out, things that they really enjoyed, which kind of surprised me but didn't surprise me because I've known some of Caroline's answers, but it was kind of cool to hear both because they are different.
Very different perspectives
So
from both of them.
it is kind of cool to hear both. But then I think too, hearing about their careers.
Yeah.
Like they were talking, I think we were just like,
no,
I'm following, but holy cow.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. We haven't had anyone on. Mainly everyone we've had on so far has been industry based. So hearing outside of the industry, especially healthcare, that was really cool.
No, I know. I love it.
I know.
So let's get into it.
So let's go ahead and listen to it.
All right. Here's Haley and Caroline.
Caroline, Haley, welcome to the People Pleasers podcast.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi. We're excited to have you here. Excited. How are you feeling? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's exciting. We're so excited to be here. We're not pros like you guys, but
you're doing great
ready.
so far.
I'm sorry, did you just see the 8 minutes we just spent doing nothing? We're not pros by any means, but you guys, neither of you have been on a podcast before, have you?
No.
First one.
Do you listen to podcasts?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Listen to your guys'.
That was a quiz.
Yeah.
That was a test and you passed. So that's good.
Good answers.
You're like, we only listened to one.
Truly.
Hey, if you listen to one and it's this one, I won't be mad about it.
We'll take it.
You guys are our first two guests. We've never had 2 guests before. Welcome.
We're excited. Thank you. Yeah. Honored.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes as far as taking turns talking and all of that.
Yeah.
We'll try to direct questions to each of you specifically to make it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But
Fair.
yay.
But I guess we should probably start with, who are you guys and how do we know each other and why are you here? Sarah?
Oh, you want me to say it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So both Grace and I worked in, oh my goodness, holding hands. We worked Caroline and Haley's weddings. Yeah. And they are also friends as well. Yes. So that was fun just having, you're both guests at each other's weddings. So we got to see each other after the fact for Haley because she got married August and you were December, same year.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was just such a fun year. And so both Grace and I were wedding planner and photographer for both of your weddings.
Yeah.
So now is your chance to shit talk us. No, I'm just kidding.
So how did you really feel about it? Yeah, that is how so we all met like relatively. So you guys got married in 2023. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So we're coming up on 2 years of marriage for both of you guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't believe it's been 2 years already.
I can't
I
either.
know.
So we all kind of somewhat met in like 2022. Wow.
Not me.
I think the first time I met Sarah was at Haley's wedding.
Right. Because you both were day of planning. So I started working with both of you 2 months out from your wedding day, which I guess that leads me into the first question. Why did each of you choose day of planning over having a full planning or partial? Caroline, go ahead and go first.
Directing the same.
And I was like, I made eye contact with you, so you're first.
I did it mainly because I was really excited about the wedding planning process. So I actually I think I'm the minority in the world here, mostly outside of planners.
Me, I know.
That like loved doing all the nitty gritty stuff. Outside of the hotels, which perk of you guys, because that was the one thing you did early on outside of like the 2 months before, because that was a headache. But I really liked that. And so my mom and I were like excited to do all that. We had all of that like set. I was off every Tuesday. So we did it like every Tuesday and just dove into it every week when we needed it. So I was really excited about that part, but I really wanted the weight of the day off of like my mom and I's shoulders, just in terms of like I wanted both of us to be able to just let go and enjoy the day and have like everything else fall into place, hence Sarah. So that was kind of why we decided to do just day of rather than like a full package.
Yeah, I like that. Did you enjoy the process of doing all of that with your mom?
I did, yes. There were times like the guest list, I feel like is the one thing that's always hard. Just in terms of numbers, I think if we could have, we would have had like a 600 person.
I was going to say, and you had a big wedding.
We did. Yeah.
It was close to 300, was it? Or was it over 300?
We invited over 300.
Okay.
And then we ended up like right under 300.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you're like, we would have had it bigger if we could have.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think we easily could have invited like 500 people if we, had endless amounts of money. But
and ample amounts of space and room and
space
all the things.
venues and everything else
Yes.
that goes into that. But for the most part, like it was very good. My mom and I are very similar in planning styles and like what, my wedding ended up being. So I think we aligned very well in terms of the planning process. So it was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of good memories.
I love that.
Yeah.
Before we get to you, because I'll have you say the same thing. So you're just prepping for the questions now.
She's just sitting there disassociating.
It's like,
what's it, my turn?
what's going on?
I don't know what the right answer is.
Everything is the right answer. All right answers here, promise. But before, tell us a little bit about your wedding day, where it was, all those details.
Yeah. So our ceremony was at Redemptorist, which is a church downtown in like Midtown Kansas City. And then our reception was at the Grand Hall downtown. We got ready at the President, so right across the street from Grand Hall, and then stayed there that night. So all kind of close by. Yeah.
That's
great.
It.
Yeah.
We'll go more into like the specific
Why you
details
chose and all of that.
Yes. Yeah.
But before,
now
Haley,
it's Haley's
your turn. Hot seat.
I feel like I was maybe the exact opposite of Caroline. I feel like I'm a type A person, but when it came to wedding planning, like type A minus B plus. Like I was just I was like, we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, we'll do that, type of thing. And then as we were into it, I was like, oh, what are we who's gonna do this the day of? Who's setting this up? So that's where Sarah came into place and helped with the hotels. Sarah and her team were amazing on the day of, it was like they were doing all this stuff behind the scenes and, things were getting done and myself, my mom, no one had to worry about it. So, and it was done. Yeah. So that's fun.
Yay. And remind us where you got married.
We got married at the Hawthorne House, which Sarah had
also got married at. Yes.
So that was, she knew the venue, she knew, the staff, some of the staff, kind of knew the layout and what to expect.
Yeah.
So
I remember because did you hire, because I was actually in your call when you were inquiring.
Yeah.
So I think you hired a little bit later on. So were you trying to go without having it? And that's when you're saying you were like, wait, all these little things on the day itself?
I think I had planned on having, like I said, I was like just so naive and oblivious to everything. So it was kind of like, I think we were at a wedding, like a rehearsal in December of 2022. And that bride had used you guys. And I was at their rehearsal and I was like, my God, this is amazing. So, and then I had gotten on Instagram and I had a follow request from Composure Events and I was like, it's all made to me. And so, then that's when I scheduled the.
I love that. Yeah, because I remember you had already had Grace hired for your photographer.
It was pretty late.
Yeah, but it made me even more excited because you were like, okay, Hawthorne House. I was like, oh, I got married there. And then you were like, and then I have Grace Maid. I was like, no, you do not. I was like, Grace, one of my best
Who's
friends.
that girl? She sucks.
Right,
No,
and then you're like, and then we have Graham Media for videography. I was like, Dom? I was like, if you don't hire me, I'm going to be so upset with you. I'm like, this is going to be such a good day, and I'm going to be so left out if I don't get to be a part of it. And it was such a great day.
I do remember you telling me and Dom that you like, I have a potential inquiry, and we were like, this could be the first time we all work together, and we were all just like thinking about it, and obviously we couldn't say anything to you, so we were just sitting there like, please.
And I think it took a couple weeks too before you signed the contract. Yeah, and so, which makes sense now knowing you. I'm like, oh, of course it took her a couple weeks.
She was really she was doing her due diligence. She was really going through it. Her husband is a lawyer.
Right.
You know,
You had to
she
check
was
out that
really taking
contract.
her time.
That is a whole other.
I remember hearing you talk about that.
He was like, no, you need to send that back and it needs to say this. And I was like, can you please talk to them?
How about you tell them?
I was like, I don't want to make anyone mad.
Right. You're like, what's wrong with the way it is? I don't see the big deal in
This
it.
looks great to me.
Meanwhile, at work, she's like, he needs to review all these contracts. And we sent him back 3 times. And I'm like, sign, send, sign, send. I'm like, what did I just sign my life away? I don't know.
What did I just prom? My firstbborn child? Cool.
Yeah.
Good. Nice.
Grace sounds good.
With Grace's too, he was like, well, I can't say that because then we can't hire this person. I was like, Brooke, what? She does this all the time. Like, I'm sure she's not gonna screw us over. I think it's gonna be okay.
Meanwhile, I'm on the other end. I'm like, please don't look too hard into it. Please. Whenever I have a lawyer, I send it to like either friends of mine or like my dad's a lawyer. I'm always like, can you just like look over this and make
what
sure
I have in here is real, right?
The amount of times because like always adding stuff to contracts, and the amount of times too I've like put it in a chat GPT too, just to be like, am I missing anything? Just to like, check, never know. No, just want to
That's so funny.
cross all my T's, dot all my I's. But the amount of times when I know it is a lawyer looking at it, I'm like, fuck. The worst was when I had both a husband and a wife that were lawyers. I was like, all right, I'm out.
You just write it for me and send it back.
Yeah, whatever you feel comfortable with, it's fine.
Make all the corrections. Go ahead. So thanks for that, because honestly, it always makes me so nervous when people send it, and I've always thought about that with Brock. So sorry, Brock. Glad you signed it.
Yep.
Yeah, did you change anything?
I
feel like
so.
you would know. I feel like you would remember.
I probably would.
Yeah.
It was like wording, and I was like, Brock, it's fine.
It's Grace.
We're sending it back.
That's so
Hey,
funny.
at least he was looking at it.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, he really wanted to make
He's
sure.
invested.
Yeah,
He's part of the
exactly.
team.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Well, going into your weddings, Haley, obviously you said you were like, when it kind of happened, like, did that feel overwhelming to you? Like all of the decision making and all of like the things ahead of you?
Kind of.
Yeah.
And it would be so easy to plan a wedding with like an unlimited amount of money.
Yes.
So when you have this number in your head and you're like, okay, well, I really have to like think about it, and yeah. So I think that was like the trickiest part.
Right.
That's what I was going to ask. Like your favorite part of planning, and then the most stressful. You would say probably the financial side, budgeting, most stressful. Mm-hmm. Favorite side? Nothing. When it was over.
I mean, I had a good time, but yeah, it was like
Honestly.
well, and just like I mean, I don't know how your parents were, but they were like, weddings cost how much nowadays? Yeah. And it's like even like
because you
we
were
got
the
married
first
in 2023. Yeah, I'm
first
the
to get married in
oldest,
your family. Yeah.
Even like their friends that had children get married, prior to even like around 2020, prior to that. Such a different ballgame.
Right. Well, it changes so much.
Yeah. So yeah, that was like they really had to get over the fact.
Yeah,
that
the shock of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
It is hard to
all-
explain that to people.
it all worked out and it was beautiful. So
It was. It was really fun.
yeah.
Carol, same to
question.
Least favorite part or most stressful part was probably guest list. I mean,
Yeah.
again, kind of goes back to like if we had unlimited space and everything, it would be a different story. But my family's really big, and my husband is from a small town, so they like know everybody, love everybody, and, you know, word travels fast. So it was like, oh, your son's getting married. Well, we have to invite them, you know, because they know, and we want everyone to be there, and we want all our most, you know, special people to be there. And then my side of the family was like, okay, what line of cousins do we cut it off? You know, so it's hard because you want everyone to be there, but realistically, that's just not plausible.
Right.
So I think guest list was definitely the most stressful. I'm also a people pleaser. So
Wow. Tell us more.
yeah.
What's that?
If you know what that's like. So like I didn't want to disappoint my parents. I really didn't want to cause, you know, stress or disappoint Brendan's parents. And, you know, we really wanted to be like, it's hard when you're the bride because you're like, okay, yeah, we get more say, but realistically it's you and your husband's wedding. So it shouldn't be, you know, the same expectations across the board. It should be the same expectations across the board. So that was a big factor. I really didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings and, you know, that kind of thing. And so there were a lot of hard conversations and just, you know, honest thoughts and where and what we could make happen. And kind of like you said, like the budgeting piece of like, okay, where can we cut here to allow for 10 more people? Because that was a big thing of us. Like we had a very big wedding, but the goal of that was because we wanted all of our people there and in town and, you know, in that day of that we'll only get one time. So I think that was probably the hardest.
Yeah.
Best? I don't know.
Was that your stomach?
Sorry.
She's like, okay.
That's why I usually leave my bag like down here when other people are talking because I have the throat growls.
The throat growls. I've never heard that.
My throat just growls at me.
Interesting.
And other people.
And other people.
And now you.
It was really interested in your answer.
Yes, okay.
Favorite part.
Favorite part.
I was thinking.
That was a door creaking. I don't know. That wasn't me. That's in my stomach. It's hard too.
It is hard.
Yeah.
To be honest, I loved the timeline.
Oh, really?
I was like, tell me more.
I know. Like, I love that answer.
Like, just nitty gritty.
You're
like,
the detail oriented.
Yes,
Yeah.
I loved it. Granted, I had a lot of help from both of you guys who have like a good like outlay of it.
Right.
So I didn't start from ground zero, but I loved putting that together and just like piece by piece. Okay, you guys come here, blah, blah, blah. Then we'll leave. Then we'll go. And
It's so cute.
Well, and probably like excitement too of like, this is literally my wedding day.
Yeah.
Like I'm literally planning how I want the day to look. And like, I think the type A, like myself, I love structure.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, this is nice and clean, but also like, this is our whole wedding day.
Yes.
Like that's really fun.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I kind of like that answer. I've never heard
I
that answer
know.
before.
Yeah, that just randomly came to my head.
cute.
I like that.
I love it. Cute.
What made you guys choose the Grand Hall and Hawthorne House? Because like those were like your first big decisions, right?
Yeah.
I had gone to a wedding at the Hawthorne House like 2 years prior. And so we started looking at venue. We got engaged and like started looking at venues right away. So
Good
we
job.
went there and 2 other places. And my husband was like, why? Like, your mind's made up. Like,
Yeah.
you know, so yeah.
What like because the Hawthorne House
Yeah.
specifically, like it has plenty of land, it
Yeah.
has different options. Like did any of that kind of like entice you at all?
Just like the overall vibe, I
Yeah.
guess. Like the big white house, the big white church, all the land, the landscaping, you know, the convenience of you could have your ceremony there and walk across
True.
the bridge and
Yeah.
there's your reception. So
Yep.
I'm from Omaha, so most of my family was coming from out of town, so to not have to have them navigate Kansas City
Right.
all that much
Yeah.
was another factor. And
Yeah.
the Hawthorne House is a little farther north, so to come down
Closer
and
to the
stay,
airport.
yeah,
Yeah.
closer to the airport, just closer.
Yeah. It was just
But
convenient.
it was convenient. It's beautiful. All of the above.
It is a really nice, I mean, it is a convenient space. Obviously, I know you're biased. You got married there.
I know.
So
I was
you kind of like it.
I have my opinions.
But even like just having wedding days there myself, I love the different options. It's not like, it doesn't have to be weather contingent to certain
Right.
things. Like it's all beautiful. And it's like you have different experiences. Like where you get married is a different experience from where the reception is. Where you're getting ready is a different, like it's all different for like guest experience, but also for you. Whoa.
It just came out.
Just kidding. It's done now. But also like for you, your guests, or just like you and Brock, like you get to enjoy the day in all the different pieces of the property.
Yeah.
I like that.
Right, which also made it so nice from a timeline perspective because we had so much. Like, did you feel like there was too much downtime on your day, or did you appreciate having those moments where it was just the two of you to just kind of chill?
Appreciated those moments.
That's what we thought too.
Yeah.
I'm glad you felt that way.
Sarah's like, I needed to make sure.
Yeah, I know. Like, this has been weighing on me for 2 years. Was it too much downtime, or were you okay?
I haven't slept at all in 2 years thinking about it.
No, it was perfect. And I'm very like, if I'm rushed,
Right.
like I'm like
Feeling it. You feel flustered.
like, and then I'm just, like heightened. So like having the downtime was good.
Okay, good. Yay.
So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Caroline, moving to you, same, I mean, we asked about 8 different questions, but mainly in relation to like, why did you choose Grand Hall? Like what enticed you and Brendan?
Kind of similar. So Brendan actually works for the company that manages the Grand Hall. So their Christmas party is there every year. And I remember going to the first one when I was still in school because Brendan graduated a semester before me. So I came home and we went, and I had seen pictures of people's weddings at Grand Hall and, walked by and stuff, and I knew of it, but I had never actually been in it. And I remember going in the first time and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get married here. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then once we got engaged, or like as we were getting ready, we kind of realized that with 300 plus, honestly 250 plus of your guest list, you're kind of limited in Kansas City, which is surprising, and I didn't really expect that. But a lot of venues are like up to 250 comfortably, or like then after that it's just like standing room, which we didn't want. So we kind of narrowed it down to 3 different venues that could hold our guest list. And the other 2, we honestly didn't even tour one of them. But we got engaged on Black Friday of 2022, and we really wanted to get married in 2023. Looking back, I always say I would have never planned a winter wedding. It's still shocking to me that I had a winter wedding. But
what did you want? Or what did you think you envisioned? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Like September, October.
Yeah.
Was like all in my head forever. Now going back, like I could never imagine anything different.
Yeah.
But the reason of that was more so because I was always scared weather would keep people from getting to the day.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So we essentially toured Grand Hall. I was very nervous about getting a date with them. So that's why it was kind of like, okay, we need to figure out a backup option. And then luckily, whoa, we're on the same page.
You're in good company. Don't worry.
They had, I think, like 3 dates available for November. I think they actually did have a Saturday in October, but our church didn't have it. And so then became the question of like, okay, do we want to get married at a different church? Which backstory on that kind of, I had a friend in high school who had her quinceañera at Redemptorist. And it was the first time I had ever been to that church. And it was kind of the same feeling. I was like, oh my gosh, this church is so cool.
I want to get married here.
Yeah. I grew up out in Overland Park, and our church that I grew up in is not the prettiest. Like, I love the church, but it's not pretty.
It's not aesthetic.
Yeah. The aesthetic was no. So I remember being there and being like, oh my gosh, this church is amazing, whatever. And so kind of the same thing. It was just like this dream in my head of getting married there. And then I had started going to church there once I moved back from school. But then became the question of like, okay, do we change churches and use the Grand Hall, or do we find the date that accommodate both venues that we loved and wanted, felt were special? So that's what we did.
That is tough when you have to coordinate with both a church and a venue.
Yeah.
Because I mean, churches are also pretty strict, like timing wise. Like you have to get married at like 1 p.m. or 3 p.m. or like, and that's it.
Yeah.
So that is kind of tough coming into it. I feel like that would make me anxious to be like, I don't know what they have. I don't know if it lines up. So I'm sure that was probably a lot immediately. I just remember your email 2 days after. 2 days after she's like, we just got engaged over the weekend and I'm looking at dates. And I was like, she's my girl. I need her.
If I could have been emailing you like the night of without being rude, I probably would have. But
I would have have loved it. You're like, Brendan, actually, hold on. Love you so much. Thanks.
Hold on 1 second. While you're down on a knee, I need to email our photographer.
Need to talk to Grace.
My
Sorry.
gosh. Okay, so I want to talk more about that then. Because you hadn't met Grace before you started working together, right?
No, I had
okay,
not.
so how did you find her and what set her apart that you were like, that's who I want to shoot my wedding?
So I found Grace.
Your turn. Don't hold anything back.
Initially, I found Grace because one of the girls that worked with us in the NICU had used Jill Stoffer. I don't know how to pronounce her last name.
You got it.
And Grace was her second shooter.
Gotcha.
And so I remember seeing her pictures at Loose Park.
Yes.
And I had always loved, like, I always thought I would do engagement pictures at Loose Park and just whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, these pictures are incredible. Jill's as well. But I remember seeing certain shots that she posted that were Grace's pictures. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this girl is like so awesome.
She's so cute. And I don't even know the word to describe you right now.
Right?
I might cry. It's okay. Go ahead.
And then when Haley used her as well, it was kind of just like, a lot of people love this girl. Like, very clearly a good one.
Thanks, guys.
And honestly, like, the final straw, I guess, was her email response. And we always talk about this, like, when we're together, just the email exchange, because it's not that no other photographers responded in a way that made me feel special, but Grace was like exceeded all expectations. It was like your best friend just heard you got engaged. Like it wasn't an automated response. Like
Nope.
Which obviously, like, I understand that to a sense that like vendors have to do that, but it was literally like I knew her forever, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I've been waiting for this day." For you and Brendan specifically, like, you guys are the best. I can't wait to be a part of your day. How do we make it happen? Like, it was just the vibe over email was unmatched. And so I was like, this is 100%. Like, I don't even care if anyone else is available. Like, I just want her.
Aww. You're so...
I've literally never heard anything like that before. That's so nice.
Why are you closing your eyes?
Because I can't look at anyone. Because it's so nice. And I equally, energy-wise, back with emails. Like, I'm a novel emailer and texter. Like, as you guys know, we've texted many times. I love to send long responses. And so when I get one back, I'm like, this is it. We're best friends. We're best friends. I'm forcing the friendship. We're going to be friends forever. Because it's just like that energy that you connect with so fast. And that's why, like, your initial email that you sent me, we were like, we just got engaged on Friday. I'm looking like this. And like, just like reading through, it's one of those things where like I can hear your guys' voice in it before even meeting you, that I was like, I just want to be friends with them. I just want to know them.
Yeah.
So thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. I think I do have a funny story, and I know I've told you this before, because I met Brendan before I met you, not knowing who he was, because at our previous job, I like worked with him on a project, and I looked the other day, he's still in my phone as Brendan Real Estate. I needed his contact because I needed to get into the building to take pictures. And so I just needed it. And then I was like, okay, cool. Never really thought I was ever going to see him again. So then when you reached out and I followed you on Instagram, I was like, this guy looks familiar. And then like leading up to her engagements, I was like, wait, I've worked with him. I know who he is. So I just thought it was so funny that literally right before you guys walked up, I was like, I've met him.
I remember that.
Whoa, weird. And then I met you and I was like, all right, Brendan, you're cool, but like, I like her. Sorry. See you later.
News. Real estate Brendan. Real estate Brendan.
See you, real estate
He has
Brendan.
other priorities.
But I always just thought it was so funny how that like worked.
Yes.
That was, I mean, not even just like a few months later. Like it was just a couple months prior to you guys getting engaged that I met him. And it's just kind of funny how the world works and how 2 months later, all of a sudden this girl's in my email and I was like, oh, she's so nice and so sweet. Now we'll be friends. This is awesome.
And now you are.
And now we are.
Yes.
Forever. Sorry, you're stuck with me.
Not mad. Not mad about it.
Nothing to be sorry about.
True.
Well, Haley, same question to you. Why did you choose Grace for your wedding photographer?
Caroline. We were at work one day, and I think you asked me, how is wedding planning going? And I was like, showing you the people I had looked out to, and you're like, you have to. You're like, here's Grace, here's her Instagram, and I was like, oh my God, I love it. And I sent the like inquiry form at work that day.
Oh.
So yeah, very, yeah.
I was forced.
Nick, you were
But like,
No.
Forced friendship. That's what I said. That's how I make friends.
yeah. But like, ditto to all the things she said. You were just so excited, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna work. This is gonna be good.
This is it. This is it. I loved your guys' engagement session, even though it was freaking freezing, and I felt so bad.
And it was like October. It had been like 70 degrees, and it was the one day where it was like 40.
Yeah. No, gosh.
Yeah. And then like the next like week up, it was like a spring day.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was just,
And you guys, you like, you handled it so well. Like, you guys didn't complain. You didn't act like you were cold, even though I was like, all right, Haley, go ahead and place your hand on Brock's shoulder. And she's like, it was she's like on the face. And she's like, do I have to touch him? My hands are freezing. I'm like, no, that's okay. No, you guys handled it so well. And it was so much fun. And that's like, it's always great. It's funny because your guys' engagement sessions were like totally opposite. So it's really funny that like the energy was still the exact same. And that's when it's great, when it is like those kinds of things where like this could be made to be kind of like a crappier time because it's freezing and it's not what you wanted and you're wearing a dress and you're just like, I want to enjoy this, but I'm cold. And you guys were so much fun, so energetic, and you handled it like champs. And it was so great. And then your wedding day was beautiful.
Yes. And that was the week it had been
Really
100
hot.
degrees, 110 degrees. And then that one day it was like 80.
I know.
so nice.
And it was like the perfect overcast.
Yes, it was overcast just a little bit. It rained earlier in the morning and then was
is
done by
perfect.
like 11. Yeah, it was perfect.
It was so nice. I loved showing up to your wedding day, to the bridal suite, and all of your friends, you were getting ready. I was just like, hey, it's wedding day. And you were like, hi. I was like, yeah, this is a good day.
Yeah.
This is fun. You guys are just awesome. So thanks for all the nice things. Thanks for booking me as your photographer.
Of course.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for taking
Good choice.
Yeah.
Don't regret it. Don't regret that one.
10 out of
thanks, I'm
10
glad.
recommend.
Thanks. I'm going to then kind of move the question a little bit around from me to Sarah. So both of you guys had her for you're welcome. It's your
I looked
turn.
at the camera. My mom told me I don't look at the camera enough, so I'm trying to.
Hi, Mom.
I'm like, I forget it's there. I'm just having a conversation.
I know.
But anyways,
I know.
hey, Cher.
She's doing her due diligence. Okay, so then moving it around to Sarah. So you both had her for day of coordination. When did you guys start like working together? Like, I know that sounds like a dumb question, but like when did you really start working together? Because I started working with you guys like a year plus out. So when did you start working with Sarah?
I think it was
Like
2 months.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
good job. You got it right. 2 months out.
And like her coming in, like what was the initial reaction? Because like you were told Sarah's your coordinator. Did you guys really get to know each other before then, or was it after then that it was just kind of like fast friendship, like got to know each other pretty quick?
I'd say kind of fast friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Great. Good.
Yeah.
I wasn't standoffish. No,
not at all.
I'm joking.
Oh, okay. I was like, no.
I was like, I'm baiting you.
I know.
No, I remember walking out of the first venue meeting. You looked so cute. You're walking into Grand Hall. You looked so like professional. You're in like a little blazer.
Yeah.
Cute.
You did
Outfit repeater.
Thank you. I mean, it's always black, pretty much.
I'm just kidding.
Rotate it.
And I remember because both of our sets of parents were there, and I remember my dad being like, she was so great. That girl, I loved her. What was her name again? You know, typical dad, like never remembers anyone's name. And I was like, Sarah, she's our coordinator. And then after that, like I remember my dad saying that specifically, and just coming from my dad, I was
It's
like,
so sweet.
so sweet, you know,
I
I
know.
loved it. But it truly was like so quick, so easy. And at that point it was like, okay, great. Like she's going to take over all the hectic. We can just like, you know,
Breathe.
enjoy the next 2 months and stuff.
Right.
So it's like the perfect time.
Yeah.
I mean, like a full package would be great, but like when you do the day of, it is the perfect, like, you think it's just going to be like,
It's more
okay,
than
here,
just the
take
day
it.
of.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
Way more.
Yeah.
Way more. Because it's like right at the perfect time when you're like hitting the max stress. I feel like, at least for me, but like want to be enjoying the last few like, you know, moments and months. And so I remember that venue meeting and then you taking over everything. And it was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
A,
This
this
is
girl
great.
is great at her job.
Yeah.
B, she's so fun to be around. This is just a win-win.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. And I forgot that it was both sets of parents at that menu.
Yeah.
At that menu.
Then you mean
Meeting.
I was going to say venue meeting. Yeah. See, I did it again. Agree.
menu.
Menu.
You're just making new words.
I know, literally.
the Sarah vocabulary around here.
Seriously, who knows what's going on in there? I don't know. But that was, I think, the only time I've ever had like both sets of parents be at a meeting like that too.
Yeah.
So it just showed like how strong family values were to you guys and how you all just like put that venue meeting, not even the wedding day.
Yeah.
And you all prioritized being there together for that. So that was really special, and that's rare. So you should know that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I remember I had to go, I had another meeting or something right after, but you guys were like, do you want to go to the drum room, have a cocktail? And I was like, I want nothing more, genuinely, but I have
Sarah's
to go
like,
have another
whoa,
meeting.
these people are a lot. Not yet. We're not there yet.
I swear I had a meeting after that, or else I absolutely would have been there. Be like, oh yeah, sure, it's 4 o'clock. Let's do it.
Yeah. On like a Wednesday, whatever. Right, Tuesday.
Yes.
Meanwhile, I would have been like, yeah, and then let's go get dinner, and let's have a sleepover, and then I'll see you the next day. We'll get breakfast. Dude, similar, same, but different.
Yeah. Just me jam packing too many meetings in one day. No,
Right.
I never do that. Still don't do that.
No, never.
Ever. I'm fine.
Never.
I'm fine.
Well, back to Sarah though in the process. Was there a part of the process that like stood out to you as far as like something she did, or like as far as just like a coordinator wise that you would tell other brides like this is why you need a coordinator, or Sarah, this is why you need a Sarah? Like, was there anything that you're like, I'm so glad I had someone taking care of this? That's kind of a tough question.
One specific moment
Oh,
in mind.
is it the same one I'm thinking of?
That's a great moment.
I love this moment.
Baiting this one.
Yeah.
Tried to set it up.
The speeches were not open mic. But someone.
Who was that?
My uncle.
Okay. I was going to ask you, like, who the heck even was that guy?
Yeah.
I think he was wearing purple or something.
Yes, oh my God.
So what happened, Haley?
I had an uncle that thought the speeches were open mic and like stood up from the table, walked up front. To
Like
where
right
we were
after
giving-
your dad, right?
Yes.
Yeah, or like my brother, something like that.
It was your dad, I'll tell you.
Okay,
You tell me
okay,
I want to
okay.
hear your point of view first, though.
I'm like remembering this as if I'm like,
Yes.
like out of body. Because it felt like that.
Well, we have the video. We'll send it to you.
Oh, I think I've
probably
seen
have
it as part of like the speeches as a whole. But Sarah's looking at me, I'm looking at Sarah, and she's like, and I'm no, and she's like, okay, and that's all. Like, that's all.
Yes, because then, so my perspective, I'm so glad, like, not to say that I don't pay attention at those moments, but like sometimes when like the speech is happening, I'm like, I can take a moment. Yes. And I'm so glad that I was there and present. And honestly, it was a good like learning moment for me too, to be like, okay, I need to be more like present in moments like this, because anything could happen. But,
Literally anything.
Yeah. Your dad was the last one to go, and he was like last on the list.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm already making my way to walk to get the mic from your dad, because I knew he was last. Your uncle cuts me off. And he's walking, and I was like, "What's he doing? And I was like, "No, he's not." And I was like, "He is about to take that mic right out of his hand." So I like look at you, and I'm like, she has pure fear in her eyes. I was like, okay, yeah, she does not want this. So I swoop in and I just go, thank you so much. That is the end of speeches. And I just take the mic right out of his hand. And he like kind of like looked at me for a second, but he didn't push back, which was good.
This is a nice wedding, sir. It's not, like,
We don't need this.
No, literally.
It's okay.
I was like, I don't care that this entire room of people are staring up here right now. Like, I have got to get in there. And then after that, your brother did give a speech, but he was not planned either.
No, he wasn't.
So after that, I look at you, because your brother comes down, and I was like,
You're like round two.
and the way I looked at you, I was like, and you were like, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
And
this
it was
is the last one.
It was cute, short, and sweet. It was adorable.
I looked
so
at him and I
sweet.
said, short and appropriate.
Aw.
And he was like, okay.
Yeah, and it was cute.
It was
It
very
was,
sweet.
it was really sweet. I'm glad that we had that. The uncle
Yeah.
one, I was like,
Like, what would he have said if he would have gotten up there and had the mic, you know?
yeah. And it's like, my dad is one of 7, so it's like
gosh,
not like an uncle. I don't know. Couldn't tell you the last time I saw him. Couldn't tell you what he was gonna say. Glad we didn't find out.
So funny. Gosh. I think that's a top moment we always, and Dom, that we always go back to, that we're like, that was the
just so
funniest thing. Because like the amount of communication we all had with our eyes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It was just like
Universal, no.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be happening.
No, it's not on the timeline, baby. This is out of here.
Not on the list.
that is a very good one. That is a very, very good reason to have a coordinator.
Yes. Among a million
that
other reasons.
stood
But
out.
that moment in particular, I was
Yeah.
like, what if she wouldn't have been there?
I know.
Yeah.
And then my mom was like, what was he going to say? And I was like, I don't know.
Thank God we never have to
Yeah,
know.
we never, I don't know, never, still to this day, no clue.
Yeah, it's not
I
at the
don't
mic
know if he
anytime
knows
soon.
what he was going to say either.
Yeah, I was gonna say he definitely had a drink in hand in that moment. It's like you could tell. It's like this
feeling
is
the
not
love.
supposed to be happening right now.
Oh man, that's a good one. Caroline, anything for you? Not that you have to have a moment, because I know going back through, like, you guys are very present on your
Right,
wedding
and
day. That
as
it
you
is
should
kind
be,
of hard
yeah.
to really specifically remember certain details and moments.
Honestly, like I said, there's a million throughout the day. I do vividly remember the end of the day specifically because, like, the cleanup team, which Sarah wasn't even there at that point.
Right.
This was the night team.
Yeah.
So just speaking to your team in general
Yeah.
and just the overall, like, mindlessness that they give you to have that day be fully present. It was like, okay, everyone out of the venue, like, you know, you have 2 minutes. Brendan and I had just done our last dance, you know, in like bliss but sadness that like it's over and we're all going to go over to the drum room after and like hang out. And then it was like, oh wait, we have to clean up everything. I mean, to an extent, like up in the rooms that we got ready in and all that stuff. And, you know, half the groomsmen are gone and we're just like corralling, what's that word? Corralling?
Yes,
Yeah.
Corralling.
Could have fooled me.
Corralling, whatever.
Yeah.
Corralling.
Menu.
All the things and stuff, and you don't want to miss out on those things. And I remember all the girls just being like, oh, let's do this. Like, here, I'll take this. That's already done. Give us the car. We'll put it in there. All is well. Go enjoy your night. Like, it was just so mindless. And that's like the biggest word I can say to your team and Sarah in general, just the day. You just have that like mindlessness. And you can just be,
Yeah.
you know, that sounds bad, but like
No,
in terms
you-
of details
right,
and like
yeah.
planning and coordinating. And mine was the typical Catholic wedding of like, okay, get ready here, move over here, then go to the church, get on the bus, come back, take pictures, you know. So there were a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah.
And I didn't stress one bit about it. I don't know if you did, but
No.
I didn't stress at all about it.
Honestly,
I mean, you go first.
I like genuinely both of your days. I was never like stressed. It was just a fun, like beautiful wedding day.
Yes.
Which I can't say that about every wedding.
No.
But truly. So, and also it just goes to show like when you have like people who work really well together and like are great friends too, and they bring that energy to you guys, like that I think makes the world of a difference too.
Yeah.
If you're piecing together people who don't necessarily know each other, you have a little bit of
Yeah.
awkwardness of them trying to, you know, get to know each other as well as lead the day for you guys. But yeah, I think that also plays a big part in that.
There were a few moments probably with our church coordinator that you probably
I'm used to her.
you know,
She's my girl.
I remember you saying that.
She does not faze me. I
do
swear.
remember you saying that, and you were like, "Oh,
But I did warn-
Barb. Is her name right?
Yes. I don't think Barb's gonna listen to this.
Yeah.
So
But you, like, I'm sure there were things that came up in terms of just like what's allowed and what's not, and what's okay
yeah.
and stuff like that. That I wasn't even like. I literally have no clue if anything happened because Sarah
Yeah.
just handled it,
And you'll never
I was
know.
just ready.
yeah. No. And again, it's like nothing like crazy happened. It's
Literally
just like
nothing.
I just know what I'm getting into in that environment. I'm like, okay, great. I'm just gonna kill her with kindness and make a joke whenever she's mean to somebody. So that I follow up with some good vibes and it doesn't bring down the mood of the day.
Yes.
But yeah, no.
Both days, I echo everything she said. Both days, energy, vibes, all of it. Like your people, like I said, it just was so great. And there's nothing better than like being in your room of your people and feeling like the love that they're giving you. And like that's the coolest thing as an outsider to be like, wow, I'm feeling like I'm a part of this. And I don't know you guys half as long as half these people in this room. So that was something for both of you that like it was felt tremendously. It was really cool.
I love that.
Thanks for letting us be a part of your wedding days.
Yeah. But real quick,
you.
speaking of Redemptress, wasn't that your first wedding there?
That was my second.
Okay, this one was stressed about it.
That was the only part of the
That's fair.
day that we were literally, and this was honestly probably one of my favorite moments of like my career as a whole, but we were in the back of the church and it was also about to rain.
Yeah,
Yes.
I had the umbrellas.
And I was a little nervous because we had set places to go. And like those moments are always so tough because it's like, I want to give them everything and then some. I don't want them to have to think about this. but then also just like the church in general, those moments are the time when I kind of have a minute to sit. And I was back there and I was getting anxious. I was getting nervous. I was telling Sarah.
Yeah, we were sitting back there during your ceremony and she was like, I'm just so anxious right now. I was like, it's okay. Like, this is a great day. Like, I'm here to help. Like, it's out of our control if it rains.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I have umbrellas. Like, we're fine.
Yeah.
It's gonna be just
you
fine.
and Lars were both like it. Lars even was like, "I'll say a prayer with you." Like it was just so nice that he was like, "It'll be fine," and I was like, "Okay, thanks."
Like, my heart is beating out my chest.
I don't know what it is. I think it's just like when it is like friends, you want to do 10 times more because you're like, I really do care for them outside of just being like my clients. Like I care about you guys as friends. And so having such a big part in your wedding day, it's like, I want to do 10 times more. Yeah. So that's where I think sometimes that pressure gets there, that I'm like, I just want it all to be okay. I just want it to be good. And it was perfect. Every piece of both of your days were so perfect and so chill. I loved it.
I thought of something that happened during your wedding, Haley. I don't know if you know about this.
Wait, I'm curious.
It's the other like piece that I'm thinking. Maybe I don't know.
No, you go first.
It might not be what you're thinking of.
It's okay. We can talk through it.
So we got married in the chapel at the Is this what you're thinking of? Okay. It's the one second thing that just haunts me, and no one else knew. But anyway, they do the rehearsals weird. So we would have had to do our rehearsal there on a Thursday. Our wedding was on a Saturday, and we had people coming from out of town, so it just wasn't feasible to really ask people to come, anyway,
do it in the venue.
So we had our rehearsal Friday and didn't like do an actual like rehearsal at the venue. So wedding day, everyone's walking down the aisle. Brock said he got down there. There's like a step up, I guess.
Oh yeah.
And the bridesmaids and the groomsmen are all on the step up, and the officiant's on the step up. And Brock said he stayed down because he was going to help me up.
Sweet.
We never stepped up.
Never made it up.
And the officiant moved forward, and I just like
Wait, I didn't even
kind of
realize
blacked
this.
I just kind of like blacked out and didn't even realize it. And at the end, I was like, we weren't on the step. Everyone's standing. And honestly, like, you really couldn't tell, but like,
but you look back and you're like,
I do. I look at pictures. I'm like, we're supposed to be on that step.
I want to go back and look now.
And there's like a cutout in the step for the officiant to stand, and then for where we're supposed to stand, and it just didn't happen.
I remember I got to the skybox and I like looked down. I'm like,
you're like,
oh no! I was like, they made it so close. You're like, I know, and it's like at that point you can't. You're in the moment. You're getting married. There's nothing you can do.
Well, and like I said, I didn't even like. We just like got there, held hands, and it started. And then it was like afterwards, I was like,
what are you doing?
You were like ready to step down. You were like,
it was no step. It's like we're not on the step. Yep.
That's so funny. I didn't even think I didn't even notice that.
Okay, so I'm going to call us out then. It's actually going to be love you, Dom. It's going to be calling Dom out a little bit. And it's also my fault because I didn't catch it. It also has to do with your ceremony.
Oh, no.
So Dom and Mitch had or it wasn't Mitch. Dom and, I can't think.
It wasn't Mitch. It was like she.
Yeah.
Dang it.
So they had a camera set up in the side aisle. I had told, because remember your brother took multiple trips?
Oh, no.
I remember that. This I remember.
I was walking. I guess it's something I wouldn't have seen.
No, you wouldn't have seen it. But so I tell him, just go down the side aisle and come back. The camera was set up, so he couldn't make his way all the way through, and I just didn't clock that. Mm-hmm. And so he cut through people in the back pew to get back. And I was like, oh, and I'm back there with you, and I'm like, oh, and so your guests are like standing up, like letting it through. But it was the back row, so nobody else in front would have seen.
Really see it.
Yeah, but that happened, and that still to this day. Now I constantly, I have to make sure the side aisle is clear, even though it's not like my equipment that I'm setting up. I'm like, put it on my list, side aisle clear. So it's a big thing that it was
brothers still go through.
Yeah. And thank God it was your brother too, because it's like it was fine. Like he probably
would have messed something. I love him to death, but if that's the worst thing that happened, we're good.
No,
he did miss one thing. He missed one family photo. The big family photo, and your mom was like, "What the heck? He was just here!" And it was like the last one.
I remember that we couldn't find him anywhere. Cocktail hour was going on.
He was like, "Oh, the ceremony's over.
I'm hiding.
Bye." Yeah. He was like, "I went. You told me to go. The groomsmen, they went." And I was like, "But your family."
I do remember that.
Oh
That's
my gosh,
so funny. Your brother was hilarious. That's so funny.
He is. So, fun one. If you were to work in the wedding industry, you've thought about this. I love it. What role, I guess, would you take on?
I would be a planner.
I knew it.
Yeah,
That doesn't shock me at all.
Easy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't think about this beforehand.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Is there anything that you liked?
I think I would maybe be a florist. Not that I would
Yeah.
be
That's
good
what I
at
was
it,
gonna say.
but I could see myself enjoying that.
Okay.
I could see you doing that.
Yeah.
I could see that. I think you.
I
enjoy
like
it.
toyed with the thought of like, how could I be a part-time planner but not do like weekends? How could I make this work? And I don't think it would work.
you can't.
But no.
Yeah, I'm
You
like,
can't.
so sorry. People get married on the weekend.
Whoops! I only take Monday
Thursday
weddings.
weddings only.
I do remember you telling me
But,
that though.
yeah.
Where you're like, I enjoy the process so much, so like I would love to do it, but you're like, but I actually don't know how I could.
Yeah.
You would be really good at it though.
Thanks.
You would.
I would enjoy it.
Your timelines would be
Yeah.
Impeccable.
yes.
But then I think we talked about this in the last episode too. I think it's interesting because you like know your experience of planning and being a
Right.
bride, and then you meet so many different
So different.
personalities,
Yes.
and you have to kind of adapt to how they work, which is
And
interesting.
Even just like with my friends who have had different types of like settings and wedding days and not necessarily like moving locations or later ceremonies, things like that. We've talked about like, hey, can I see your timeline? And I'm like, it's kind of irrelevant. Like it won't help with your day. So like it is kind of, different, but
You are the ultimate church timeline that I send. Like when
you?
people, she's my ultimate timeline that I send. Because like when people
Yeah.
like need ideas of like, I don't know if I want to book you for 8, for 10, whatever.
Yeah.
This is our day, and it
go
is
for
kind
like
of
16.
yeah. So I'll be with you for 72 hours straight.
Literally, yes.
But it does help like having your timeline. You're the one that I always send that I'm like, here's a church timeline. Like this is a good one to go off of. But then also too like different times of year because you're also December.
Yes.
So sun goes down later.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that was hard.
you guys are good. You're good.
You're good.
Good timeline example. So thank you. Your timeline lives on
You
forever.
made it. So
I was gonna say I'm
Thank you.
gonna take some
I was gonna
credit
say, yeah.
credit there too.
Yes.
you
This is
guys
a
definitely
combo.
made that.
Yeah.
Just with me being like, this is what we need to fill it with.
Yeah. That's what needs to happen on the day.
Yes.
Well, speaking of work, obviously we know what we do, but you two, you're both nurses.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how did you guys meet? Where do you work? All the things.
We met
Yeah.
at Caroline's first job, my still current job in the NICU. We started at the same time. We're in like that same start group, which like you get close with those people, and we were like on the same like rotating shift during our orientation. So
Yeah. There was a group of like, I don't even remember, like 30, 40.
yeah, it
We
was
had
like a
big
big
start
gosh.
group
Yeah.
randomly. So yeah, then we were split in half.
And like a lot of them come from KU nursing school, so a lot of people know
Yeah.
each other going in. So there was one other girl that went to Mizzou with me and went to nursing school that started with us in the NICU right out of school. So we just kind of got close and hung out. And then, now I still work at Children's Mercy. I left the NICU after like 2.5 years. And then now I've been in this unit called the procedural sedation unit. So we're essentially like a post anesthesia unit for radiology procedures. So like imaging with MRI and CT and stuff. We put kids to sleep with anesthesia so that they can hold still for their pictures. And then we recover them and wake them up. So, I loved the NICU. I always, my like line is if I could be a 9-to-5 NICU nurse forever, I would. Which, is like the dream of everyone, but not everyone, but like a common 9 to 5.
Yeah.
It would
Then
be
you can
clutch.
work your weddings on the weekends.
But just long term, I didn't see like the schedule working out in the NICU for me, and what I wanted to prioritize. Like, my days off consisted of just like spending money or like going out because I was bored. Like, if you have like a strong group of friends who have the same schedule, it would be amazing. Like, you have so many days off in the week and but with like traveling and weddings and friend activities and stuff like that all happening on the weekend, it just didn't make sense for me at the time. So this job still at Children's Mercy was more of like a clinic schedule. So we work just weekdays, no weekends, no holidays, which has been awesome. The other side of that I never knew I wanted was like working with all aged kids. And that was one of my biggest fears leaving the NICU, because
You're like, these people can
they can talk to me. They can like fight back. And like in the NICU, it was like, oh shoot, we have to get labs. Like, okay, swaddle the baby up and like get the labs, like easy. But like with a 4-year-old, you can't really do that. You have to get like really creative and distract them and do a bunch of things and call in extra people to get those labs, because that's scary for a kid. So that was one of my biggest like fears going in, but also now looking back, like one of the biggest blessings, and it's been really fun. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
What year did you guys start?
2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
February of 2020.
February 2020.
Tell us everything.
Say, how are you doing?
We, I just like feel like infants in general, COVID was not like like bad.
Big
I
deal?
don't know how else to.
Yeah.
We didn't see. I mean, we did, but we didn't see like
Yeah.
a lot of like.
It was like kind of later on when it became
It was
like
2021
restrictions
2022,
when moms
yeah.
gave birth
Right.
with COVID. Like then what do we do? That
Yeah.
was the only thing we saw.
Yeah.
But the
We didn't
hospital
see the big
was
like
changed,
but
but
like your typical like adult setting,
Right,
with
right,
COVID. But
right.
we did.
you had to like walk
Where-
into the hospital and get your temperature checked
check-in.
at a table every day, every shift.
Get a sticker for the day.
Yeah.
Fill out your survey.
Yeah.
You have symptoms.
Yeah.
We wore masks for what, 2 years?
2 years.
There were like people who were like, I don't know what their face looks like.
Literally.
Yeah,
Because,
that's
Yeah.
wild.
because when we started, we wore masks.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
nobody knew what we looked like,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
But
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
yeah, it was wild. And I think, you know, in the midst of, like Haley said, like I don't ever want to pretend like I was in like the throes
Yeah.
of COVID, because a lot of
just wasn't
nurses that
like
like we
that
went
for
to school
us.
with in adult world were.
Yeah.
And, you know, they were pulled off their units to go staff COVID units and stuff like that. And we weren't doing that. It was more just like hospital policy. And like, I remember talking about how like in the, like before COVID, siblings used to be allowed at the bedside. And like all we ever knew were like no one else was allowed at the bedside outside of parents.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that was like a weird thing we didn't know was COVID, but like was our normal.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, you know, I mean, there were the little things like when we had a mom that delivered and couldn't see their baby for
Yeah.
7 days or however long it was. I don't even remember.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But FaceTime,
Yeah.
a lot of FaceTimes during that period.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that, like we said, that was later on.
Yeah.
Like almost probably into 2021. But
Dang.
yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't have imagined. I mean, working in healthcare in that time. I mean, I know, like you guys said, it wasn't directly your every day to day, but like it's still, I mean, still takes tolls. I mean, anyone that works in healthcare, like you guys are doing amazing things every day, but I just couldn't. I commend you guys for all of it. I could never be in the healthcare medical field.
Literally,
ever.
somebody would throw up and I would run away crying. Like I'd be like, I'm never coming back.
She would.
No, I'm not. Kidding. I'd be like, this is not for me. I'm so sorry.
Is that like? Did you guys always know that's what you wanted, like career path wise? Is that kind of always what you felt?
Haley
I
has a
like-
really cool story.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Tell us
well,
more.
I can't. Like growing up, I wanted to be a nurse. Like that. Like I don't know where my mom went to nursing school. Like later in my life, like when I was older, my aunt was an ER nurse, and I just like always wanted to be a nurse, whether or not like I understood what that meant at the time. And I was actually born at 31 weeks and 5 days. So
Wow.
I was in the NICU for about a month of my life, and when we started, like you get to know, you know, like you don't know what you don't know. And like you go to nursing school, and like the NICU is not like, I had one 6-hour extra credit NICU lecture. Like
When
that
you're
was
like never, and one day in the NICU
Yeah, I
and
had,
you're
like, a
allowed to like
12
look at the baby and that's
Yeah.
it. You know,
like a 12-hour like
yeah.
clinical stint. So we, you know, you start taking care of these patients, and then I'm like looking at pictures of myself, and I'm like, Mom, was I intubated? Like I had a breathing tube? She's like, yeah, I couldn't hold you for 4 days. And I'm so like, it's like, that's great. But yeah, so it's kind of like
Wow.
full circle moment in my life. But yeah, so I had an instructor in nursing school that really, she was like, I thought I was interested in NICU. I did those like 2 6-hour days. She was like, if this is like what you're interested in, like go for it. You know, you do not have to start in adults, you know. So she really encouraged me. So that was my first job out of school, and that's where I've been. So
That is really
how
cool.
does that work? Sorry, this is maybe sound really dumb, but how does that work? Like for nursing, do you like apply to different areas, or do you get referred to different?
yeah,
It's kind of just like open, like you can. I will say the majority, like that instructor is probably a rarity.
Yeah.
Usually in nursing school, they are like, there's zero chance you'll go straight into an ICU. You have to do med surg, because that was kind of the older way of like, you go to med surg, you get all, because med surg is kind of like a catch-all sometimes. You get a lot of experience, practice skills, and then you go into like a specialty where you would like. And that's just not really the case anymore. Some hospitals may still operate that way, but I was just actually telling a nursing student that was shadowing the other day, I was like, if you know, I can't speak to every hospital, but at least Children's Mercy, like I would say 75% of our start group in the NICU and PICU was new grads, like right out of school.
And there was like a specific like new grad application, and then you kind of like ranked the area. There was like ICUs, ED, and then like general, like pediatrics, and then you made a video of yourself answering questions. And then from there,
terrifying.
So I ICUs are my top.
Yeah.
Then I answer these questions. Then they look over those and send those to the unit managers, and then they decide if they want to interview you. So
It's a long process.
they probably interviewed. I'm just like thinking now, like when Caroline and I were hired, like 300 people.
Yeah.
And then there were
Holy cow.
30 of us that start.
Yeah.
And then there's
a lot.
Dwindles down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So yeah, that's kind of how that works. But nothing I would have learned like in an adult setting, or even like general pediatrics would have, I don't think would have
Prepped
helped
you?
or prepared me.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a very niche.
Yeah.
Very
And it's almost
specialized.
better to, I think,
I don't know anything
to go
different.
into it straight, because it's like, if you're in, like things are just done different. And so like thinking if I would have done like roles reversed and been in my job now, are there certain things that I could have taken into it? Yeah, sure. But it's also like, then you have to change your way of thinking.
It would have been a hard
completely. Like,
it's a hard switch.
Yeah.
I feel like,
so it's almost like it's better to just learn
And be an
in
expert
that.
in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
That's kind of how that
I know
works.
this is so foreign to us. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
it's hard to kind of like wrap my head around, like, I don't know. My mind, our minds work differently. And like, not that you guys don't have to think and work creatively, but I think I'm just like, it's a totally different way of operating and thinking that like, I truly just can't wrap my head around. And that's again where I'm like, God bless you. Thank you. Because I could not, I mean, also, I don't think I could handle half the stuff you guys have to like see and go through. I don't think I'm not built for that. I could not do it. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah. How do you, like, if you have like a tough day or something, or you see something that is traumatic, like what do you do to cope with that? Because you keep coming back. So that's good.
I think there's a couple things. We honestly recently just talked about it with one of my friends, just with a certain patient. I think a lot of it, there's like the personal side of it and like what helps you internally more so, I guess, like personal preference. For me, like a lot of that is, faith related or like distracting, like going on a walk, that kind of thing of just like clearing your mind. But then also like I have a way to like remember any kids that like I've lost or that I've taken care of and things like that. But the other side of that too is really just relying on your coworkers because not in a bad way, but there really isn't any way to explain it to someone who isn't like going like in the care of it.
Yeah.
Like with Brendan, like I'll go home and tell him like I had a, really tough day. We lost whatever the situation is. And he can empathize and like, console me and give me all of the like love to make me feel better. But it's different when I'm telling Haley like, oh, this is what happened. Or like, we had to do, this end of life or something. And like, truly only your coworkers can like understand the weight of it and like really help you through it. So a lot of that is finding good coworkers that like can help you through those times in tandem with like that personal side of whatever helps you personally.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. You keep going back because they're the people that get it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of like in my adult life, like a lot of my closest friends are my coworkers. Like they just, I mean, like I can go home and talk to Brock about my day, and he's like, "Oh, I don't get it."
Yeah.
Even like explaining things you do.
It's just feeling heard and feeling validated, especially in such a heavy situation or tough situations. It's hard when you do have that disconnect of like, you don't fully understand what I'm saying, but like you care about me, so thank you. And I need that, but I do need someone that can like listen to me and know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And they just have those same like shared like firsthand experiences to know exactly like how you're feeling.
Yeah. That makes sense. What is the most like rewarding part of your job?
I think a lot of like the firsts, like, oh, the first time mom's getting to hold, or, the first time they're able to do a bath, like that's really special.
Yeah.
And, isn't always the case, doesn't always happen for everyone. So like really celebrate the little things and
Always
get everyone excited.
wins.
Yeah.
I think in the NICU, those were for sure the biggest wins, like, little things like finishing their first bottle by mouth. There's like all of those things. The little wins are like huge milestones. Now in the unit that I'm in, a lot of our repeat patients, so the patients that we get to know, are hemonc patients, so like cancer kiddos, just because they get repeat scans, so we see them a lot. So a lot of those success stories are when we get to, be the one who takes care of them on the last time that they have scans and they're clear. And, there's a flip side to that for sure, which is really, really hard. But just seeing those kids through and seeing them, get their port out, which is like a central line. And, then we hear back of like, they went back to clinic and rang the bell and like those little things that like, even though we're not like the ones that are there in the clinic when they ring the bell and that kind of thing, like we get to know those families really well and know those kids pretty well to the point that we know when they come in, that they're having a hard day or what those parents need and that kind of thing. So just seeing the success stories and even just the validation that like those parents, like I had a parent the other day, this was really sweet, kind of to explain the different workflows. So like a normal operating room PACU, which is post anesthesia flow, is you have a nurse that does your workup, then you go to the OR, you have a different nurse, not that you really know because you're asleep, but then you go to the recovery room and you have a different nurse. So each of those nurses stay in their area and then the patient moves nurses. The way that we run is we take a patient, we're with them from start to finish in the workup, in the operating room or during their scans, and then in recovery, and then we discharge them. So one of the parents that I had was asking like, so what exactly like is, like, I know you guys are called sedation, but like what exactly is your unit? And I kind of explained that to her, like that's kind of the difference in how we run. And she was like, it's just so nice. Like, it's hard to send your kid with one person and then get them back from a second person. And I mean, this is a patient who has had multiple procedures. And so it's not new to her, but just to hear her say like, that really makes a difference in my day. Like that I send him with you and then I get him back from you. And I know that like, you're the one that's with him the whole entire time when he's out of my care. So just knowing like, I mean, to be honest, like the verbal validation from parents and patients is really nice, know, and you don't always get that. You have a lot of hard, frustrated parents who are going through stuff that may take it out on you some days. And, we understand that too, but it's hard. But the flip side of that is like the verbal validation that these parents can give you and, talk you up and appreciate you is also very rewarding. And that that's like going to continue when you keep going back and going through the hard ones. So.
Right. Because that's a whole nother layer to it. It's like you're managing the emotions of the parents as well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And being like a sense of comfort for them. Like you're their validation, you're their comfort, you're their safety for their kid. I can't imagine being that person. So I can imagine it comes with both the good and the bad days, but those goods are really good.
It's just good to put it into perspective. Into perspective for us too, because I feel like with weddings, it's like, yes, it's such a big deal, but it's because it's one day and everything's heightened, but it's like there's so many more important things in life. Like so many more important like jobs and all of that I don't know. It's just good to hear about different perspectives and what you guys deal with on a day-to-day is just totally different than what we're dealing with on a day-to-day.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Because I've like kind of talked to you. I mean, we've all gone to dinner before and we've kind of talked about it. And I've talked to you more in length about it, but really hearing like, especially what you guys, because like I have friends that are nurses and I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Don't really hear much unless it's like a really bad story or something like that they're just trying to work through. So to hear the good and the bad, but also just like how day in and day out goes is really cool. And I love that you guys aren't far from me. Right down the street.
Do you guys feel anxious like going into the workday? I'm like, oh, what's going to happen today? Or you're just so like, this is just my day to day at this point?
Not anymore.
Yeah.
I tend to thrive on the chaos
and
the uncertainty. That's why, part of the reason why I enjoy what I do and like how I think I manage burnout is like something new every day. So at least that is what I need to be, to be able to do my job. Where other people really like the consistency and like going and taking care of the same patient every time they go to work. So
I could see you being a very like calming presence in a chaotic situation. I could see you just being very like, we're good, we're chill.
Yeah.
I know who I'm calling if I ever need it. Haley, talk me down.
Yeah. I think there was definitely a period in the NICU where because the way that it works, you like walk in and you get your assignment and then you go to the bedside and get report. And so I remember like right off orientation and that kind of thing, just in general. And then once you kind of, because there's not like a said hierarchy, but like there later on, like you start getting like, okay, now you're in like the critical patients. Now you're going to get the patients that are, on all the things and need all the things. Versus like what we call a feeder grower assignment, which is just like babies who were born early that need to learn how to eat, like stable, but are learning how to eat. And so I think there was definitely a period in time when I would like have so much anxiety, like just literally going up the elevators, waiting to see what my assignment was. And then like reading through their sheet and being like, oh my gosh, okay, I have to do this. But it goes away like fairly quick. And like you said, I mean, there's always something new, like, but that's where the coworker thing like comes into play. And I think that's what's really prevalent. It was really prevalent in the NICU, just in the sense of like, it's a very niche area. It's a very large group, but it's a very niche area. So anyone is, a good resource. And with my current team, we're a very small team. So it's like we know each other really well and feel very comfortable to ask for help, ask questions and that kind of thing, where it's like nothing is a dumb question. And we can always just like talk it out.
It's safe place, safe space. Absolutely.
And that's the way like a lot of bigger NICUs are set up, are like open. So like I'm never just like somewhere by myself. Like I'm always around other people and there's always like, I'll ask a question. I'm like, I'm 99.9% sure I know the answer to this question, but I just need validation from someone. And they're like, yes, exactly how I would do it. So that's.
I remember literally, because the NICU was my first job, I remember when I left the NICU, there were a lot of things I was nervous about. But one of the like weirdest things that I was nervous about, like she said, in the NICU, kind of weird, but it's all, at least our NICU, was mainly all divided by curtains. So like everything is open. There's not any closed, there's a few closed rooms, but mainly. So like Haley would be across the pod taking care of her baby. And if something went wrong, she knows. Like she hears the alarms.
People over there.
Everyone's open. It's just like, hey, I need hands. Like you're never alone.
That's good.
Whereas now, like, my patients are very stable, most of them. Most of them are outpatients. We occasionally get, like, the ICU kids who come down to us. But we're, like, in a closed room. And I remember thinking, like, oh, my God, no one is going to be, like, readily available. Like, I have to go open the door and yell for help if I need help. And just that little piece alone was, like, something that made me nervous. That I was like, okay, that's going to be different. You know, in the NICU, it was like everyone was right there and ready to jump. So, just learning curves. But that's, a really good part about nursing is there's endless possibilities. And, I remember leaving the NICU and one of my charge nurses was like, you can come back if you don't.
As she was talking earlier, I was like, you can always come back.
Yeah, I love that. We literally said that in our last episode. It's like, and it's so true.
Yeah. You can always go back.
That's always going to be there, but you're never going to know if you don't try something new.
So
one question for Caroline. I'd be remiss to ask how your experience was meeting Taylor Swift.
Oh, jeez.
I was gonna bring that up.
It was good. So our unit is like literally in the middle of a hole, basically, in the hospital. Like a lot of people don't know that we exist or
tucked in
where
a
we're
back
at. Yeah.
corner.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
well, that makes sense why she went there.
Yes. So to that point, she did not mean to come to our unit, but there's a back door that like nobody uses. It's just an emergency exit, and that's how they got her in and out. So
Hey.
The truth
she
comes out.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So she came in, and then everyone started like, no one saw her, at least I don't think, but
She was in a, what does she go in? The janitor's thing?
yeah.
Oh, the
Literally, we thought
janitor
about
cart.
that because our cleaning staff goes with like there's a lot of
Have the
big carts.
carts.
No,
Yeah.
she
So
was-
I was
she
like,
was
she
in the
totally
cart.
could
That's
have
why
done
nobody saw
that.
her.
Yes. But so she, at midday or whatever, everyone had started being like, "Oh my gosh, Taylor Swift's here! Taylor Swift's here!" Like,
when we were both working that day.
Yeah.
I was.
yeah. And to that point, I had even in the NICU, just because like the celebrities that come don't usually come to the NICU
don't
because
come to the NICU.
yeah, they don't interact.
Right.
More love for the
And
NICU.
really, it is an open unit too. So
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
lock it down.
Yeah, that's true.
So I had never met like any of the celebrities, like the big slick people that come and never seen them, always missed them.
Paul Rudd came up once.
Yes.
I wasn't
Oh,
there.
yes.
I wasn't there.
Oh,
But
you're right. He did.
I guess his mom is one of our volunteers and holds
Okay. Oh, that's
babies.
so cool. Yeah.
So
He did swing
He
by.
came.
That was
he
nice.
came to see one patient one day. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Sorry.
No, that
was
was
important. Yeah. Paul Rudd. Shout out.
Paul Rudd's name.
Shout out to Paul Rudd. But so I had a patient that was going back upstairs to our hemonc floor. So again, that cancer floor where a lot of the celebrities go. And so everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, can I help you go back up? Like, I bet she's up there." So we took him back up, and it was like chaos. I mean, there were people stationed like every 3 feet to make sure that like no one was like faking coming up to the floor.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
have
that
like
is
a
wild.
patient on the bed, like clearly needing to go back to his room. They were nice, but it was like, don't turn down this corner. Like, where are you going? What room? Take him and leave.
I feel like you guys know this is a hospital, right?
right.
they were like stationed at like there's like employee stairwells.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, like if they knew she was on the
I mean,
second
they
floor,
were
you're not going down.
serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. So, which like I totally understand.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
for multiple reasons, for her safety, for the hospital's safety. Like, there was a lot of things that needed to be in place for that to go well. But
to
it
wanna
was
come
just
back.
yes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And hit up the NICU.
Yes.
Taylor, when you
Hey
listen to this.
Taylor.
So we like I went back down and I was like, okay, well, definitely confirmed she's here. That's for sure. But whatever. And so then she came down, and one of our anesthesiologists is like obsessed with her. Been to like multiple concerts, wears a
wow.
scrub cap that has like the friendship bracelets, and she was wearing it that day.
Oh.
And it was on her birthday when she came.
No.
Taylor's
What?
birthday.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
right. I was like, and it was her birthday.
Yeah.
This is the best day ever.
Yeah. So Taylor was walking out. She was like going out the back door, and it just so happened that a patient came out of MRI when she was leaving. So she stopped to talk to that patient and give them one of the books that she was handing out. And so then the door that connects us, it always stays open. We just keep it open. The security guards like went and told us that we needed to shut it. And so our anesthesiologist that loves her was like, okay, yeah, we'll shut it, like trying to look at her. And
But
she
just let her
was
see my
like,
cap really quick.
Yeah. So she was like, happy birthday, Taylor. And Taylor was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And whatever. So then she was getting ready to leave, but she must have said like, are there people back there that want to meet me or whatever? And so yes, there are.
In fact,
We are
yes.
here.
So the person came out and was like, okay, do you guys want one picture with her? And everyone was like, yes, we do. So she came in, and one of the patients popped out, and she talked to the patient for a little bit. And so then they were telling us like the rules. They were like, okay, you can take it on one phone.
Wow.
Nobody can take personal pictures. Nobody can touch her. We'll take one picture, and then you guys can distribute it. You can't post it until after this time.
Wow.
And we were like, okay, sounds good. So we're all like standing there awkwardly.
Don't touch her.
Literally. And then she just walks up and was like, hey guys, thank you so much for what you do. Like arms around us.
Oh
You're
my
like,
God.
what do I do here?
Literally. Like, I don't know what to do
I don't
now.
want to disrespect Taylor Swift.
like so chill, so sweet, and was just like, you guys are so sweet. Like, we really appreciate everything you do, and you know, all that stuff. And then our anesthesiologist gave her a friendship bracelet. She was like,
Aww.
I went to Toronto and whatever other show she went to, and she was like, oh my God, thank you so much. You're literally the cutest thing. Like, thank you so much. That's so sweet. But
so cool.
She was so cool. Like, I wasn't really a fan. I wasn't a hater, but I was just like,
You weren't a Swiftie.
cool. I'm not a Swiftie.
No,
You're like, I don't get it.
But
I
it would've
don't
been
get the
real cool to
obsession.
meet
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everyone was like, "Are you kidding me?" And you were the one that got in a picture. I was like,
Oh,
Like, get
I am
over it.
deserving.
but I will say, like, meeting her and just seeing like how down to earth she was in that moment was very like.
I get
she's
it.
as
I
good
get why
as I
people
think
like her.
people say.
Yeah.
Like, I do believe that she's as good hearted and like down to earth as everyone makes it out to be. So, her voice is way deeper than I thought. Very odd. Yeah, I was like, whoa. I mean, it was like right after her tour, so she's probably also like tired a little bit.
A little bit strained in the vocal area. Yeah.
But
still.
I was kind of like, oh my gosh, her voice is like deeper than I thought. But she was really cool, very tall.
Yeah,
and,
very
like,
That's what I was gonna say.
as flawless as you think. I mean, yeah, of course. She was awesome. So it was very
That's so
cute.
cool.
Yeah. I did have one patient, Travis, if you ever watched this, that he got like one of the little books that she was handing out. And I walked him and his mom back up to their inpatient unit, and he was like, oh, this is so, he was like amped and so excited. And like, can't wait to show Dad my book. And I can't believe I got to meet Taylor. But I kind of wish Travis was here with her. I was like, oh my God. I don't think you're probably the only one. But he was hoping that Travis was there. So it was pretty cute.
Maybe
But,
next time.
Yeah.
It'll come as a pair.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's so cool.
And come to the NICU.
Yes.
And again,
Like,
one more mention.
One more shameless plug.
But yeah, it was fun.
That's
so,
awesome.
On a day that I'm working.
Well, yes, please.
I have my schedule. Blue days, pink days, either one.
Yes.
You pick.
I realized I just said that to you guys like
With no
cold
context.
turkey, and you were supposed to decipher which days I worked and which days I did not.
I kind of was it your
did,
nurse
and-
grid?
I looked at it and I was like, oh, she'll probably text something later. And then I looked at it
Nothing.
like
Still
4 days later and I'm like, oh, wait, she didn't say anything.
And,
Like, what does this mean?
We were also like, we hadn't gotten together in a while either. So it's not like we were like there to be like, okay, we should ask her.
Yeah.
So we just kind of like let it sit there for like a couple of weeks. We're like, okay, so by the way, what days are you available?
And when Carol said just like her first availability, and I was like, I haven't even put 2 and 2 together. I should probably maybe see what days they're available. Which also, thanks for spending your day off with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy to.
Thanks so
Worked
much.
out perfectly.
Yeah, so nice of you guys. So
good.
What? I don't do well when you.
Can you stop calling me out when I'm having a moment where I'm thinking about
sorry.
something else and I haven't said it yet?
Look at Sarah and she's just like,
Like calling me out.
I'm sorry, no, I love you. It just it throws me off because I'm like, what?
No, and then I'm like,
is something
nothing?
wrong?
No.
Oh man, well, I do have one of the questions on
Yeah,
there.
I was seeing if you were going to do a follow-up question or if
gonna
I
ask
needed to. So that's why I was looking at you like that. And then you call me out, bitch.
all love around here. It's been a while. All right, so go ahead, go for it.
No, you're doing great.
yeah,
No, I'm good. I asked the last
Get
one.
back into it.
I asked the
Okay,
last
yes.
one, so you're good.
Okay, fine. Sorry, I called you out. I guess bringing it all kind of around, you guys, like we mentioned at the beginning, are about to celebrate 2 years of marriage, both of you this year.
Yeah.
Any advice or any like
Big
favorite
lessons
memories?
learned?
Yes, or anything from 2 years?
Oh man.
And putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
It's a hard question because I feel, and I don't mean this in like a bad way. Like I don't feel like our relationship is all that different
Right.
now that we're married. But like
Yeah.
it is because we're married and like we're adults.
Yeah. Or anything in like the wedding planning process or like the experience as a whole. Any advice you have for anyone getting married?
Anything you would have done differently?
Just do what you want to do. Like Caroline said, like it's ultimately like your and your spouse's day. Not like you could drive yourself crazy trying to appease everyone and make everyone happy, and it's just
Not
no one's
possible.
gonna notice or remember a lot of things
Yeah.
that you're trying to like
Coordinate
and
yeah.
fit in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the
Just
do
do
what
what you
makes
want.
you happy. Yeah. If that means eloping, do that.
Yeah, no, honestly, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, and we kind of talked about it more specifically with our email interaction, but it was also true with Sarah and all the vendors that we ended up using. I think the biggest thing that it's hard to get wrapped up in like okay, we need these people now, let's just book whoever. But the one thing I feel like I ended up, just getting very lucky and like so grateful for was what I talked about with like how Grace made me feel. Like when I interacted with the vendors that I was choosing from, the difference between who I ended up picking mostly and like who ended up not being our vendors was, it was more than just like, okay, you're another bride. Like to your point of like, you guys don't get exactly what we do in the nursing world. To you guys, a wedding day is just a wedding day, like someone else's. Like you do them every weekend. Yeah. It's just another one, to an extent. You guys, I think, are the, outliers in terms of you feel the weight that like that day is just the only day that we're going to get. And it's only one time in our life. So you value that and make your brides feel that way, that you like acknowledge that. Like it was different when, certain vendors responded and was like, okay, great. Yeah, that's exciting. Awesome. Like I'm available. But you guys went the mile to be like, I cannot believe this is like the best day ever. You guys are like, enjoy every single moment. This is the only time you're ever going to get these feelings and have all these people. Like you met us in the excitement that like, this was the only time we were going to get. And I don't think all vendors do that. And so that's what I would say when booking vendors is like, find those people and keep seeking out until you have that matched with your vendors.
And I don't feel like I really booked any vendors that I didn't get as like a recommendation from a friend or like someone I had talked to or
I didn't even ask like how you guys found people. So it was mainly kind of like recommendation, word of mouth from people that you trust, that you were like, I trust
I had
you.
a good experience.
Right.
Yeah.
I personally think that's how I would say like 80-90% of my clients is all word of mouth. Thank you. It's all word of mouth. And it is like, do you feel like that makes a difference than just like kind of going online? Because like you'll hear about it and then you'll go do your research. But like if you just had to blind search like Kansas City photographer, Kansas City wedding planner, like it gets rid of a whole lot of other steps. Yeah. When it is someone that you trust, it's like, oh, you had a great experience. Yeah. Cool. Let's
and you
look
can
at
also
them.
like gauge the personalities.
Yeah.
Like
it was, she got along with her.
Right.
Well, it'll be just fine.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Which I think is like something that I didn't necessarily prioritize or realize would be important, which sounds dumb looking back because like it's the most important day of your life.
What you don't know.
But but like personality of your vendors is really, really pivotal in how the day goes. Yeah. So I think word of mouth is really good because you can gauge like what their personality is and if they got along and like that. So
yeah. I agree.
Love it. Yeah, same.
Touche. Yes.
Nothing further.
That was it. All right, and we're out. See you later. No. Is there anything else you had?
Think so.
Anything you want to ask us?
Yeah. Any questions for us?
We just asked you a million and 10 questions.
Dang.
You don't have to have any.
Why? Yeah, why did you?
Why are we here?
Why did you ask us here?
Oh man.
Maybe Grace's answer I will maybe know a little more than yours. Like why did you want to be a wedding planner?
Yeah. I just loved my planning process.
Okay.
So kind of similar to Caroline, like I planned it with my mom. It was the same thing. We would just the two of us did everything. And then I had a day of coordinator who came in, I think like a month out with that company. But yeah, I love so much. That's the biggest thing. I was just like, I just want to like, I get to be a part of such special moments. Yeah. In so many people's lives. Yeah. And that's like something I don't take for granted at all. Yeah. So I think
you're such a lovely person.
Yeah. I just want like the world is harsh. Like it's like it's not a great place all the time. Yeah. So having something where again, there's like the pros and cons, like there is like a lot of overwhelm with the wedding planning side of things. But at the same time, it's all planning for a celebration of love. Yeah. So it's all it's all from a good heartful place. Yeah. So I just never found anything else I was ever passionate about besides love.
I love it.
I love love. So
well, clearly to that point, it makes a huge difference. I mean, you guys can tell, like it's looking back at our days, we can laugh about the things that went wrong, quote unquote, because it didn't impact our day.
Right.
And just in general, like the lasting friendships that we get out of it. If
Exactly.
yeah.
Right. You meet so many amazing people.
Yeah.
So
That's my favorite part.
yeah.
It's my Holt always comes. I come home from an engagement session. He's always like, "All right, so when are we going to dinner?
Literally.
When are we grabbing drinks?"
I remember when we were walking back to the car and Grace was like, so I won't force my friendship on you, but we're happy to go to dinner if you guys ever want to. Okay.
Okay, bye.
I got in the car and I was like, we're booking that dinner. We're going to dinner with her and her boyfriend. Like, we are going to be friends with them. And Brendan was like, to his point, like, you know, he loves you, obviously. But he was like, babe, like, she probably does that with all the couples. And I was like, I don't care. We're still going to be friends. It doesn't matter if we're one of 100 or one of 2. I'm going to be friends with her.
All of them mean
That is energy I want in my
they all
life.
mean everything to me. It's the collective friendships that I do look back and I'm like, wow, 3 years of doing this, like half of my couples are now just my friends.
Yeah.
Like they're just friends.
Yeah.
Which is cool. That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so cool. And you get to document it all. So that's
I do.
that's a whole nother level that I'm sure you're just like, yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome for
Right,
that.
right.
Yeah.
Here are these
You can look back
memories.
on all of these memories. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
You
it.
can move to the photo side.
I could.
Come over anytime.
I could.
We'd love to have
I
you.
said that's what
We'd
I
love
do
to
if I wasn't doing planning. So
Yeah.
If you ever want, you're
You
welcome.
know?
Water's
You said
warm.
florist, right?
I think so.
Florist,
she did.
photographer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be a florist. Yeah, that's it. Haley, we can be
Yeah.
florists.
Yeah, you guys can
In another life, we can just be.
we
We
could.
can just be florists.
Yeah.
Or this one.
Or this
on
life.
the weekends.
You guys want to start planning?
I'll
We'll
be the
start
planner.
florists.
You can switch to photography. It'll be great.
Yeah, I love it.
We're just completely changing our lives.
Check
here.
back in a couple
Yeah.
years.
We'll see where we're at.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you both so much for
Thanks for
coming
having
and
us.
chatting with us today.
Yeah. Thanks for letting us go back through your wedding days and
Yeah.
kind of revisit all the fun
Yeah.
and sharing everything about your jobs.
Yeah. I know. We saw each other yesterday. She
I know.
came down and Haley was like, see you tomorrow. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, see you tomorrow.
Yeah, like we don't work tomorrow.
As I was like wheeling the patient through the back, I was like, I wonder if I'm going to see Caroline. And then there she was.
That is so. I bet that
love
is
it.
kind of cool to be like. I wonder if I'm just gonna
Yeah.
happen to
Fun.
stop by.
Still see each other.
Yeah,
Yeah, we do.
I agree.
Yeah.
Working with your friends is fun.
It
It is fun.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It makes a world of a
It
difference.
does.
It does.
Yeah, it really does.
Yay. Well, we love you.
Love you
We also love your husbands. Tell them we say hello. They were invited, but we do love them too.
Maybe next time, you know. Gotta have the girl club first.
Of course.
Of course, yeah.
Maybe one day we'll have all.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of hectic.
I don't know where we put the chairs. So.
Yeah, no, I'm totally kidding.
Logistically,
I don't
that
think it'll
doesn't
all.
work.
We're barely all in frame right now. So.
Just kidding. Maybe we'll all just go to
This
dinner.
works.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
And we won't record it.
No,
That's okay.
Yeah.
that you know of.
Little
Hit
bit
up
of
a Cooper sock.
Yeah. Oh,
talk about
whatever. What?
Never mind.
Okay.
Never mind.
On that note.
On that note.
All right.
All right.
I don't know how to end it. I never
guys.
know.
Thanks. Bye. Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.